Alright, I'm gonna make a video because I haven't made a video in a very long time. I don't know what's on my camera, so I'm just gonna wing it. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so I had my surgery and I was doing okay. I went and got my drains pulled, and the drain on my left side was really red and agitated and had a little bit of pus coming out of it. I just really wanted it out because it was hurting. Like, just touching, barely touching it hurt so bad. And so they went ahead and they removed all my drains. And a few, let's see, the day before I got my drain taken out, I went and saw Dr. C, and he said that he wanted me to have at least some antibiotics in my system for 24 hours before having the drains taken out. And that night I had a fever of 102, and the next day I went and saw Dr. J, and he pulled out the drains and told me just to continue taking my antibiotics, because at the time I didn't have a fever. Like, my fever broke probably around 3 or 4 that morning. And so on the way home, I started getting really cold. I was in the back seat of my mom's friend's / cousin's car, and I just started getting really cold, and I was falling asleep. And we got home and I ran back to the well, I didn't run, but I walked very fast to the bedroom because I was freezing and I just wanted to get under the blankets. And at that point I was shivering, like teeth just shaking and clinking, and I knew that something was wrong. So I called for my mom, and she came back there, and I asked her to bring me some ibuprofen. And so her and my Uncle Josh got the ibuprofen for me. I take about 800 milligrams. When my mom reached over and touched me and freaked out. I was burning up. So she called Chris, and Chris came home, and we discussed how we were going to get to San Angelo, because we had called Dr. C, and Mom was telling him that I was burning up and I had the chills, and he said to come to San Angelo right away. So that we settled on taking an ambulance to the hospital. By the time they came and got me in and took my temperature, it was 103. Almost 103. So it was probably a little bit higher because it had been at least 30 minutes since I had taken my ibuprofen. So we got the ride to San Angelo, did all this stuff. I stayed in the hospital, had 12 things of antibiotics. They sent me home with 2 antibiotics, and everything was kind of going okay until the day before yesterday. I woke up and I was feeling better. My skin was lightening up and I was feeling better, but I woke up the other morning, and when I was on my way to go wake up Devin, I knew that my shirt was wet, but I thought it was from the drain site. And my doctor had told me if it starts leaking, just let it leak. And so I went and woke up Devin, and I went to the bathroom to look in the mirror, and it wasn't coming from my drain site. It was coming from my incision area. And it wasn't like clear liquid or just blood. It was pus. And it was drip out of my chest. And I freaked out because I didn't know what to do. So I called Dr. Cherokoo, and I told him what was going on, and he said, you need to come in. We need to test you for MRSA. Make sure it's not like a staph or MRSA infection. And so now my neighbor Renee, and my friend Renee, friend/neighbor Renee, was willing to take me to San Angelo. She had taken a day off from work. She was going to take me, but Chris was just really insistent on taking me, so we did. And he stayed in the lobby with Caden while I went in. We were there forever. And so eventually Dr. C came in, and I had slowed down. It wasn't like drip. It was like drip. It was slow. This man put on some gloves and reached over and touched me, and it kind of ripped that skin open a little bit more, and it burned so bad. And all he did was just push. My incision area is right here. All he did was push right here, and all of this stuff came out of my body. And he was like, that's all pus. That is all pus. And I was like, I told you that it was pus. So yeah. He did a staff thing, and he was going to call my surgeon in Temple and talk to her and see what she wanted to do. But he was just like, take your antibiotics and go home. And I don't know, just something about that didn't sit right with me. Dr. C is not malicious. I love him, but I think he was just like shocked at what he was seeing. And he was like, just come back on Monday and see me. But luckily, when I got to the car, Scott and White called and said, you need to come right now. Like, don't get in a wreck, but hurry up and come on. And when I got there, they did a slew of tests. I did have an allergic reaction to the antibiotics, and that was weird. I just my head was itchy, my face was itchy, my chest was itchy, everything was super itchy. They had to stop the antibiotics and give me Benadryl, and of course Benadryl through an IV is just crazy. You get knocked out fast. And then the on-call doctor came in, and he opened up my wound, shoved in the Q-tip, and was squishing it around like this to try and break up any other pus pockets that I had. And then he shoved a whole bunch of stuff in that hole. It didn't hurt, surprisingly, except I have this one spot on my chest that is super tender, and that's really the only part that hurt. I think that it didn't hurt so much because I'm still numb from the surgery. And then right after he did that, the sonogram lady came in because they wanted to make sure that, like, how many pus pockets there were and how deep they were, if there were any more, like, past my chest wall. Luckily, there wasn't. It's just one giant pus pocket underneath my skin, and it needs to be drained out. So now what we're doing is we're gonna take out the strips, repack it every other day. Make sure it stays clean. Make sure I stay on my antibiotics. I have another week's worth of antibiotics to take. It's exhausting. I'm so done with all of that, because to end my doctor's visit, I had an aide come in and check my vitals, and they had started a bag of the same antibiotics, but they slowed it down because they said sometimes if it's at full speed, you'll have that allergic reaction. So this aide came in and took my blood pressure on the arm that had the IV in it. And I was talking on the phone to Chris, and all of a sudden, my arm started burning, and I was like, what? And she stopped and took the blood pressure cuff off. What happened was it was squeezing all that stuff, and she hadn't paused the IV. And so instantaneously she blew my vein, and I had hives all over my arm. Ooh, it hurt so bad, so bad. So if you're ever in the hospital and for whatever reason they take your blood pressure on the same arm where your IV is, make sure they pause your IV, because that was more painful than them packing my chest. I don't know. It was crazy. But this last week has just been so weird because I've been dealing with this infection, but at the same time I've been doing so much press work for the Laura Bush Institute, and I am beyond honored to be a spokesperson for our community. And the only reason why I'm doing that, the only reason why they're putting me out in the spotlight, is because out of the 19 women that they've helped diagnose with breast cancer this last year, I'm the youngest one. So we really just want to get that message out there that it doesn't matter how old you are. This is not your mother's cancer. This is not your grandmother's cancer. This is our cancer. And it doesn't matter how old you are. I have a YouTuber that I watch on here, Nalia, And Nalia, she's only 25 and she's battled breast cancer. So cancer does not care. And to make sure that we're getting the message out there for women to check themselves, know what your breasts feel like. Don't just wait for the yearly exams to come up with your gynecologist. Make sure you're checking yourself a week after your menstrual cycle, because just knowing and catching it soon enough, it's not going to prevent you from getting cancer, but it means the difference between stage 1 and stage 4. So just know what you're feeling, know what you feel like, and be prepared for anything. And be persistent. If you find something, make sure the doctor checks you out. It may be nothing, but it could be something. Use me. Say, I have a friend, and she's only 32, and she has breast cancer. Check it out. So, that's my update. And Devin had a birthday party today, and we missed it. We're really bummed out about it. But everyone took tons of pictures for us and videos, and he looked like he had a blast. So thank you to everybody that went and, made his day. And yeah, that's my update so far. I'm sorry it took so long. I mean, I only missed a few days, but I feel really bad. But anyway, I hope that everyone's having a great weekend, a great week, and check your boobs, check your balls. And when life gets really overwhelming and you have an infection that will not go away, just think, this too shall pass. Bye, guys.